There's a plant that costs $8 at any nursery. If you put it in the right spot outside your house, your AC bill drops in half. Not a little, not 10%, in half. The U.S. Department of Energy documented it. The USDA Forest Service measured it for decades. Researchers at the University of California recorded it with thermal cameras on real houses, with real families, paying real bills. The results were devastating for an industry that moves $240 billion a year. Because it turns out, the west wall of your house is the worst enemy you have in summer. Not the roof, not the south-facing windows, the west wall. ASHRAE engineers calculated it precisely. That wall absorbs 85% more heat than any other surface in your home. The afternoon sun hits it almost dead on between 3 and 7 p.m., when the air outside is already at its peak temperature, and the heat doesn't come through right away. It hits around 9 or 10 at night when you're already trying to sleep. Your AC has been fighting for hours against a wall that keeps pumping out heat, like an oven. HVAC companies know this perfectly well. Equipment manufacturers know it. The techs who come to your house to give you a quote know it. And none of them are going to tell you what I'm about to tell you right now. 3 shrubs, strategically planted on the west side of your house, can cut your AC usage between 15 and 50%. I didn't make that number up. Alan Meyer published it in Energy and Buildings in 1990, after reviewing decades of studies. The EPA confirmed it, along with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. They measured it in real homes, in Sacramento, in Texas, in Alabama. In College Station, Texas, they studied 113 homes over 3 years and found reductions of up to 24% just from tree shade. But before I keep going, I need to pause here for a second. I've spent months researching everything the construction and landscaping industry doesn't want you to know. Passive architecture techniques that cost almost nothing. Plants that regulate your home's temperature better than any equipment. Materials they used 2,000 years ago that no contractor today is ever going to mention because they don't generate recurring contracts. All of that is on this channel. Subscribe and hit the bell because what's coming in the next few videos is even heavier than this. But stick around, because what comes next is the part companies really don't want you to hear. A shaded surface can be between 20 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than a surface exposed to direct sunlight. The EPA measured it. The University of New Hampshire confirmed it. They recorded it with infrared cameras in Florida, where an unshaded west wall hit 93 degrees Fahrenheit, while the shaded wall read 75. Same wall, same day. The only difference was a plant. And here's the number that should make you angry. Replacing a central AC unit in a 2,000 square foot home costs between $5,750 and $7,100 installed. 5 shrubs to shade the west wall cost between $150 and $400 total. 5 times less money. And the USDA calculated that the investment in shade trees has a return of 19 to 1 over 30 years. 19 to 1. So what plant? Which one is this $8 plant? Morella cerifera, known as wax myrtle or southern bayberry. It grows between 2 and 5 feet per year. In 1 or 2 years, it's already giving you real shade. It reaches up to 20 feet tall, with dense foliage that blocks the afternoon sun directly. It's native to the southeastern United States, handles extreme heat, doesn't need constant watering once it's established, and you can find it at any local nursery for $8 to $20 in a 3-gallon pot. But there's something nobody tells you about this plant. And I need to be honest with you, because I actually care that this works for you. Wax myrtle has a serious downside. It's highly flammable. North Carolina University Extensions classify it as extremely flammable. If you live in a fire-prone area, you need to plant it at least 8 to 10 feet from the wall, not right up against the structure. That distance is still enough to block the western sun, because the afternoon angle is low, almost horizontal, and a plant at that distance casts shade directly onto the wall. Why do companies never tell you this? Because they can't sell you a plant with a monthly maintenance contract. They can't charge you for servicing a root that grows on its own. They can't build a franchise around something anyone can buy at a nursery on a Saturday morning for less than a pizza costs. The HVAC industry in the United States moves $240 billion a year. Heat-related repairs account for tens of billions more. An $8 shrub that eliminates 15 to 50% of your cooling load isn't a business opportunity for them. It's a threat. And it's not like they just found out yesterday. McPherson and Simpson from the USDA Forest Service published the definitive study on tree orientation and energy savings in 1996. They found that trees shading a home's west-facing exposure produce the highest annual savings across all climates and all insulation levels studied. All of them. No exceptions. That was 1996, almost 30 years ago. How many times did your HVAC company tell you about it? Here's exactly what you need to do. Go to any local nursery and look for wax myrtle, Morella cerifera, or southern bayberry. If you can't find it, the second option is Photinia fraseri, known as red tip photinia. It grows between 1 and 3 feet per year, reaches about 12 feet, and has shiny, dense foliage that blocks the sun perfectly. It costs between $25 and $35 in a 5-gallon pot. If you live in a humid area in the southeast, watch out. It's susceptible to a fungal disease called entomosporium leaf spot. In drier climates, it works perfectly. The third option, the most durable and the densest, is Ilex opaca, American holly. It grows slower, between 6 and 12 inches per year, but its foliage is so dense that the University of Florida classifies it as a dense canopy tree. Once it's established, it's practically indestructible. It handles USDA zones 5 through 9. The catch is the time. You need 5 to 10 years to get real shade. The smart strategy is to combine all three. Plant wax myrtle for immediate shade over the next 2 years. Plant red tip photinia for mid-range shade in 3 to 4 years. Plant American holly for permanent, long-term protection. Total investment? Under $100. Projected savings over 10 years? Between $1,000 and $2,500 according to Department of Energy estimates. Before air conditioning existed, trees weren't a decorative option. They were survival infrastructure. In 1955, less than 2% of American homes had air conditioning. Thomas Jefferson had thermometers in every room at Monticello, and in 1807, personally designed the placement of 35 shade trees around his house. Not because he liked gardening, because he understood physics. Sacramento's shade tree program, the largest and oldest in the country, has planted over 630,000 trees since 1990. The documented results show savings of 153 kilowatt hours per year per tree. The city cut its annual electricity use by 15 gigawatt hours, enough to power 20,000 homes, with trees. This didn't disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because it works too well. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe and share it with someone who's paying an electric bill they shouldn't be paying. Every time you share this, one more person learns what the industry has been trying to make you forget for decades. The next video is even more eye-opening, and what's inside is going to change the way you look at your house.